and welcome to Labour Lens. I am Sharon Ijason. On this week's episode of the program, we will be discussing about the oil and gas sector and the challenges the workers are faced with. We will be right back.
Contract staff of 7-Up bottling company are agitating for increase in salary. The staffs, who are truck loaders, said they have been doing this for the past 4 years and that the management of the company had not yielded to them. The staff said they are being ill-treated by the company, but anytime they get injured on the job, the company turn deaf ears to them.
They are not giving us safety boots, they are not giving us hand gloves. We are working every day and night. Even an ID card, we ask them to give us. They say I should bring passport every day. They refuse to give us. They now, even to enter the company, say it's problem. They will not allow us. They say I should go and put on shoe and do this to increase our salary, our money. They don't even want to increase our salary.
They are fighting for increasement now. They don't want to increase our money. They even use police to harass us because we are fighting for increasement. Because of the injury where we are having for the customer place, they are not used to treat us. We are fighting because of all this thing now. They are chasing us away.
They lamented that they are being paid 1,000 naira every day, but they want it increased to 3,000 naira. If not, they won't get back to work.
When you are working finish there, the money which they will give us to live between ways is too small. But this money you are talking about, you know the work we are doing for 7-Up. Maybe they increase the money to high level. We say if we start working, we will know to chop and leave the rest. We should remain and keep it.
While in the midst of this, their plant security manager came out to have a meeting with the staffs, telling them that the company do not need their services anymore, and at any time they need them, they will call them. With these latest developments, they are left without a job, but they also demand for their outstanding salaries.
The national leadership of the Nigeria Union of Petroleum and Gas Workers NUPENG and the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria has expressed dissatisfaction over the impacts and effects of the state of insecurity and various crimes in the country. The union informed the federal government during a press conference held in Lagos that its members are the most affected.
Just 2 Thursdays ago, one of our members was killed before the wife and the children. The government is doing their bit, but they need to up the game. So whatever line of action we have, we'll have to communicate it to the appropriate authorities. But for now, we are not happy with what is going on, and we are calling on government. You are doing your bit, but please up your game.
Other labor leaders who attended the conference spoke about the issue of casualisation, outsourcing and insourcing of workers in the oil and gas sector.
Contracting, outsourcing, hook, line and sinker from outside this country. We must situate it here. They should not exploit the surplus labor in our labor market to be exploiting Nigerians. We must insist on decent employment for Nigerians in the Nigeria oil and gas industry, because the spiral effect of having decent employment in the Nigeria oil and gas industry is also going to extend to the larger society.
Casualization and contract staffing, they go hand in hand. You know, most capitalists, let's use that word like that, you know, they want short-term profit. Nobody wants to invest and say, let me wait for a long time to make my profit. So the first thing they look at is to reduce the cost effect on labor. So that's why they bring in casuals and everything. And they tell you, yes, short-term job, no problem, maybe 2 months, 3 months. But when you have a recycling effect of somebody working for 15 years, 10 years, and you still call that person casual, so then something is wrong with the system.
It was recommended that the unemployed should be catered for by the federal government. Youth empowerment should also be promoted, while human capital development and capacity building should be topmost for any government at all levels. James Jerry is 50 years old. He worked with Seawolf for 5 years before it was bought by Amcon. He tells me when Amcon took over Seawolf, he and more than 400 workers worked in the organization for 2 months, then they were told to stay at home. According to him, since 2013, he and the other workers are yet to get any gratuity, terminal benefit or redundancy letter.
We have been struggling through NUPENG. NUPENG is our umbrella. NUPENG is our father in this unionism. We are under NUPENG and the Pengasan. We are looking onto them. They have been writing to federal government, even to Buhari, even to Sibanjo. They wrote to DSS, to Minister of Petroleum, Minister of Finance is aware of the matter, Labour is aware of the matter, and Gige is aware of the matter. They have been making meetings. In 2015, they promised to pay us one Chike Obi, who was the director of former. He has been off the job. He promised to pay. In 14 days, we have the document. Up to now, tomorrow they will say this, yesterday they will say that. So nothing they do. So NUPENG have threatened 3 days. If they don't pay, they will go on strike. They called NUPENG and they pleaded that they will look into it. We can cancel the strike.
According to Idowu, who worked with Seawolf Company for many years, he tells me it's been a horrible experience. He says it's never happened in the oil and gas sector for workers to be told to sit at home without any terminal benefit. Today, many of the sacked workers are dead, while some are suffering from health issues.
It's always what they call a CBA agreement. That is a collective bargaining agreement between the company and the workers. That when you finish working for 1 year, or 6 months, or 3 years, you are going to be paid off. But in this case, nothing has happened. There has never been a case where we sat with either civil management or Amcon management that took over to negotiate redundancy, which is the #1 priority when you are taking over the company. That has never been done between the workers and the Amcon management at all. I mean, we've been living in a very, very serious condition.
Another case is that of Godi Egube, who says he is homeless, lost his wife, and his kids have stopped schooling.
Ever since we have been hearing all sorts of story here, they are going to pay tomorrow, just like that. Up till now, nothing like that. And the most funny part of it is that our children are no more going to school. Myself, I have no home again. Since my wife died, no home. I cannot pay my rent. I'm squatting with somebody now. I relocate my children to the village, and they're not going to school anymore.
For Jerry James, he was living in Lagos but had to relocate to Port Harcourt. Seawolf Oil Company is an indigenous oil drilling firm with state-of-the-art custom-built rigs in the Nigerian upstream oil sector. It was established in 2009, and by 2012 it had to run into debt that threatened to shut it in bankruptcy, for which Amcon bailed it out by buying the debt from a consortium of banks in 2012. The ex-Amcon workers tells me they have explored all means, including 3 months picketing of Amcon's office at Abuja.
In actual fact, there's no drilling company that completed a job or finished a job that at the end of the day that they are not paid their working benefits. So we want the government to look into this. In fact, we have been on this issue for over 4-5 years now. We want the government to pay us off because Anchor is under the federal government body. So we want them to pay us off. They should pay us our arrears because they are owing us arrears. The issue was that there is no letter of sack, there's no letter of redundancy. So ever, they only asked workers to stay at home up to date. And I believe even at the time they ask workers to stay at home, if it is 1,000, 2,000 that is the salary and you pay them off, do everything, nobody will have it as a mind today that we have one problem or the other. Whatever you want to use it to do, you can. We find it difficult to train our children. We find it difficult to pay house rent. As I'm even talking to you now, I'm owing a house rent of about 2 years or 3 years now.
If you are laying people off in every company, you must retrieve the ID card from them and then pay them off. So there was no discussion for job stopped or no dismissal, and there was nothing like a redundancy. Just stop paying us. No information. Only told us that they want to take the rig to Ladon for maintenance, that we're having job again with Mobi for 5 years. I have the documents too.
On the profile interview segment this week, I will be speaking with the president of NUPENG, Comrade Prince Williams Akweria. It tells me that for decent jobs to be promoted in the oil and gas sector, labor laws needs to be strengthened in the land. Take a listen. It's good to have you on the program.
Pleasure's mine.
A lot has been happening in the oil and gas sector for a while, and for the labor sector generally, the minister is back. That's Senator Chris Ngige. As the president of NUPENG, can you share with us what your expectations will be from the newly appointed, re-elected or reappointed Minister for Labor?
Well, obviously, the Minister of Labor is not a new post for Dr. Senator Ngige. He has been there. He was there for the past 4 years. And I'm sure he's a man that also knows his onions, when it comes to industrial relations. One thing you cannot take from him, I think, is somebody that is very alert and also proactive. I can say his first tenure there as minister, that oil and gas worker didn't fare badly, because I knew a number of times he intervened, in our issues, and I would say such interventions were positive, on our part. And now that he's back, well, I know he's going to continue from where he stopped. There were several challenges that were unstable, especially from NUPENG then, and I think he's going to also take them up.
Okay, so generally or specifically, what would you be expecting from him?
Well, we want him to continue the fight against indecent employment in the country, and especially the oil and gas. Indecent employment in the sense that we have contracts, we continue to have jobs that have 3 months, 6 months, and 1 year contract duration. To us, those are indecent employments. No society, should encourage that. And majorly too, the contractors that are giving these jobs, most of them don't have the capacity. So I think one major area I want him to look into is that how do we employ Nigerians? How are they employed? What kind of jobs is available for Nigerians? How can job or employment continue to be attractive to our teeming youth, so that see employment as a way of actually making a living, rather than seeking other means like what we're observing today, Yahoo and all that. So I think he owns that responsibility to sanitize our employment sector and make sure that anybody that gets employment, will get value for it.
The issue of non-recognition by the IOCs when it comes to unionism and the right to unionize, it seems to be a big issue.
That is another major challenge for him that we also want him to help us handle. The IOCs, the way they operate in this country, they operate as if they are in the world of their own. Nobody seems to challenge them, nobody seems to monitor them. And when the union cries, and people will say, I want too much, because of the way we cry, because that is the only way.
The only language you understand.
You understand me. So we will honestly want Minister of Labor to really come to our rescue. Because the way it is, almost all the IOCs, except Total, that still believe in employing permanent workers. But Chevron is still trying a little bit, you know. But Shell, Mobil, you know, in fact, NAOC has also joined them. They don't believe in employing permanent workers anymore. They outsource almost, you know, all their core activities. And I will continue to look at them. You know, they are only making themselves, you know, vulnerable to criminal activities, because if you think, you know, you don't want to have permanent workers who can pay well, and they are relying on contract workers, then of course, whatever activities you find in your work environment, you know, you contend with it. Because I don't think they are making real profit, you know, with the way they've gone about employing contract workers, you know, in their establishments.
From your experience in the oil and gas sector, can you tell us when did this ugly trend of oil companies not wanting to employ permanent staff begin? Because we are very much aware that oil and gas is the biggest thing in Nigeria, is our means of livelihood. Well, if the biggest employer, which is supposed to be the oil and gas sector, is not employing workers or not promoting decent jobs, how far do you think we can go?
Well, it started when we started taking after our counterparts, you know, in other climes. You know, when the issue of outsourcing and privatization, which I can say probably in the 90s, you know, came around in the 90s. But unfortunately, the way it's done in other countries is not the way it's in practice here. When you talk about outsourcing, you know, and privatization, or globalization, you know, so to say, you know. I think I've mentioned on this program before, where we said that a contract share worker in Norway or in Amsterdam earn the same amount of salary even with a permanent worker. There is your choice, you know, either to be on, you know, on consultancy or contract, or to be a permanent staff. You earn almost the same thing. But here, you know, it's seen in different way, that as if you are supposed to be a slave to a permanent worker. When you're a contract worker, in a permanent worker, you say, so you want to compare yourself with me.
So there is also the discrimination between the permanent worker
and
the contract
Of course,
staff.
that is the way the IOCs has placed it here. They make the contract worker look inferior. Even when they know that you have the capacity and capability to even do more than in the permanent worker. But they do that to continue to save money. That's what they say, to cut cost. The issue now, cutting costs at the expense, you know, of human beings.
Well, we know that according to labor laws, it's not right for you to actually outsource a job that is not casual in nature.
Exactly.
What can be done legally to ensure that the IOCs
in fact,
respect
there are guidelines
laws?
there. There are guidelines there that were put in place by Ministry of Petroleum and Ministry of Labor. I think that guideline has existed for more than about between 8 or 10 years now. But of course, this is Nigeria for you, where everybody can flout, you know, any other. Those guidelines, which even they themselves, you know, are assented to, are also be flouted. You know, where it is stated clearly that when it is your core business, it must be either such a way, we either be employed permanent basis or must be on direct labor contract with the principal. But still, they still give such jobs even to fourth parties. Fourth parties. You give a job to one contractor, that contractor will sublet it to another one, and the client will continue, you know, to look the other way as if they are not aware. I've had meetings with some of these IOCs where they will say, well, we are not the employers of these workers, but these employers work in your premises. They carry the ID card, you know, of the IOC. If not even as staff, but at least the gate pass.
And they use the company's equipment.
Of course, even the contractor whom they are seconded to don't even have office where even this worker can even go. So much of them are portfolio contractors, just paymasters. So to us, this is even another slave labor. You know, we are openly and brazenly are telling people, you know, that this is your right. Even when you are working in, you know, in that environment where you know you are supposed to be respected, you know, but you are told that, well, you are just a maid here. You know, you are not a rich child, you know, of the environment. So it's actually a very big challenge for us.
Okay, insecurity seems to be a big issue in the country right now. There's been several reports as how it affects the oil and gas workers. Can you share your experience with us?
Yeah, that has really affected us a lot. You know, today as we speak, oil and gas workers are targets, you know, of these criminal actors. You know, we're in a situation where our members have been kidnapped severally, you know, and they have to find a way of bailing themselves out. You know, in the process, some have died, you know, some their relations, you know. So, honestly, the security situation, as we find ourselves today, need the efforts of everybody. You know, obviously, only government can handle it. You know, it's becoming to exceed the capacity of the government. You know, I think even as citizens, we all have a role to play. You know, the churches, the mosque, you know, even institutions, we all have a role to play. Because the persons that are indulging in these, you know, criminal activities are people we also know. They are not ghosts. A lot of us know them. Yeah, the security agencies are trying, but honestly, they need to try more.
Since the issue of insecurity is a great concern for NUPENG and maybe Pengasan, I'm aware that there are other labor centers that would be organizing rallies to put forward the issue of insecurity again to the table of the presidency. Will you be part of this
rally? Of course. NUPENG and Pengasan are trying to put our heads together, you know, to also seek some a way forward, you know, and also probably challenge the government and other stakeholders on what is necessary for us to do. You know, because like I said, it's a challenge for all of us. Where there is no peace, it doesn't affect just only one person. It affects all of us. If there's no peace in this country today, nobody is comfortable. It affects everybody, the way we think, the way we do things. You know, investors also will also leave our industry. Of course, investors are no more comfortable even working in the oil and gas as we speak. Because the amount of money they will spend in trying to maintain peace and keep security, well, the same amount they would have also used in employing a number of persons, you know, into the system.
Report has it that about 660 billion naira was actually spent on fuel subsidy. Can you tell us, this is a big drain to the economy. What do you think can be done by the government?
Well, the way it is today, government is reporting and they are also paying. So if government spend the same money from its coffers to buy fuel and also subsidize it, you know, but what we continue to say is that we can do better. You know, that subsidy could be eradicated, but with several factors in place. You know, but since those factors are not in place, you know, they just need to do that, because once the subsidy removed today, you know, it will also have serious adverse effects on the economy, on the masses, and the way we also do business.
So moving on, finally, we keep talking about casualization of workers, outsourcing and insourcing. As a matter of urgency, what would you propose to ensure that the number of contract staff we have in the oil and gas sector probably is reduced to the barest minimum and we have more regular workers in the employ of the IOCs?
Well, first, there's need to review even our labor laws. Because the way it is today, even the little guidelines that are on ground, you know, they are not even being respected. You know, but I think there have to be a more clear cut and probably review of some of those laws. So that he also made it mandatory where it could be stated clearly that is the number, you know, of workers that, you know, that could be restricted to contract staffing in any establishment. That any company should have so number, you know, of such permanent staff. You can't come to this country to invest and you outsource your entire workforce to just, you know, contract workers. You know, it's not even abroad, it's not even done. I think there's such percentage. So my take on that is that, you know, there should be such laws where, you know, some of these things are put in place. Even like contractors, even contractors too that are even given responsibility of taking over these workers. You know, it shouldn't be just a 3 month, 6 months or 1 year. The guideline says 3 months plus additional 3 years plus additional 1 year, which is 4 years. You know, to me, that is even little, because in the life of an individual, you know, once you get an employment, what you want to sit back and see is that, okay, you are comfortable, you know, and you had opportunity of working several years. You know, it's not good for somebody to be on the job today, after 2, 3 years, you know, he's back to the street and he start hustling. You know, so I think we need to look at labor laws and find how we can all manage this, you know, more appropriately.
It was an interesting conversation I had with you.
Thanks for having me, Sharon.
And that's all we can take on today's edition of the program. Join us next week for a fresh edition of the show. I am Sharon Ijason. Thanks for watching, and remember, labor creates wealth.